In this DIY video, we're going to resurface a set of wheels. Now you can do this on old wheels, new wheels, it doesn't matter. First, let's get it open and take a look at the wheel. Okay, there we have it. So the first thing you want to do before you really plan anything, before you get your material list, before you get any of that together, is do a spray test. Now how you do a spray test? Simply, grab some wet sand or some Scotch-Brite, however you plan on prepping it. Prep one of these little spokes here, spray the paint on it. Now if you know you're going to need a primer, or if you're using a paint primer in one, or whatever, or in my case, I'm using the recolor engine enamel, follow the instructions on the can and cover one spoke. I'll show you why. So here you have it. It's all nice and dry. Now there's a handful of ways you can actually test this. You can scrape test it, you can do all kinds of stuff. But what I actually found out playing around to kind of show you the best method of doing this is actually just wet sand. See? And within that, you can tell there's no chipping, there's no flaking, there's nothing. Like literally it's perfect. Lets me know the paint is bonding. As you can see, it was bonding perfect. So then I know I can put together a material list, not needing primer, not needing any of that other junk. First things first, cheap paper towels. Because cheap paper towels do not lint. They will fall apart if you're rough on them, but they will not lint. And you don't want little lint speckles left over when you're ready to paint your wheel. Some kind of cleaner. I use Prep-All. You can use alcohol. You can use a bunch of different stuff. There's a bunch of different brands. I just really like Prep-All. I use that, and then you're going to need your spray cans. I need 6 cans of the engine enamel. I bought 6. Took me 3 different stores to get it, because nobody sells really more than 2 cans of this. You'll also need your Scotch-Brite pads, a 400 grit wet sandpaper. If you have any surface problems, like right around the little lugs, there's paint buildup on these wheels, I'll be knocking that down with the wet sandpaper, and then I'll just be scuffing up the wheels with the Scotch-Brite pads. So what's the first step? Actually, the first step is quite simple. Take a Scotch-Brite pad, because we're going to get into all these little nooks and crannies. Well, hold on. Let me bring you a little closer. So here you can see some of the detail on the wheel right here. Now that really needs to be scuffed up. So you'll take part of your pad and just scuff down in there. Now we're relying on a small piece of the pad. See, I cut off a little chunk because it makes it easier to get into the small little areas. And you're also going to wear this pad out really fast. You're going to flatten it down, you're going to chalk it up with paint. But the main thing is get down those areas. You don't need to push real hard. You just kind of push down on it a little bit. Let the pad do all the work for you. And you want to get into all the little nooks and crannies. From this to all the lug holes. Lug holes are probably the most pain in the butt part. But you want to make sure you get it real good, because you don't want the paint flaking off. But let's start with all the little nooks and crannies of the wheel, and then we'll move on to the face of the wheel. Alright, back. Okay, so there's a million ways you can get all up inside here. There's a little lip down through here. That's what I use this for. It's just a little flat piece. I'll set it in this, and I'll basically just run it around the whole wheel back and forth, and it'll get down in the grooves, and it'll get this little lip face. Same with this. You can just do that, do this. So you can see I'm not even pushing on it, and it's scuffing it pretty good. You don't want to score it. You don't want to create real deep marks, because the paint might have a hard time covering it. But just some simple, just scratch it up, take all the sheen off of it. I'd say gloss, but these are kind of like a satiny color, but need to knock that all down. So do that real quick. So now that the face is all nice and sanded, it's all good. Go ahead and flip the wheel. And you can do this any way you want it. You can start with this back side. You can set the wheel up to do the back side. It really doesn't matter. Okay, this is all nice, sanded, prepped, ready to go. Let me bring you in slightly closer. Undust it, I don't know what you want to call it. Spray it off with air, wipe it off with a paper towel, whatever. Just get the dust off of it. And then grab a new paper towel. Try not to tear them like I do. some of your prep chemical and start cleaning the inside of the wheel. Now I'm not cleaning the outside yet, and I'll explain why. Now the reason I'm not cleaning this outside of the wheel, the face of the wheel, is because any kind of overspray I get on it, I'm going to be going back and knocking it down. So there's no bumps, there's no grooves, there's no dry spots, there's nothing bad in the final paint. Now you can opt to tape it off, or you can wait to sand the face. You can do whatever you want to do. The point is I suggest you paint the inside of the wheel first. So I gave the inside of the wheel a once over. Now as that once over flashes off, the prep all, the alcohol, whatever flashes off, you'll see streaking or anything. That lets you know you've missed some. So keep cleaning until it actually is clean. Alright, now it's totally clean enough. I'll give it one wipe down before I paint it. But what you want to do is this sits up against the hub, or the brake, or whatever, but it all needs to sit flat. Now to get it to sit flat would require you not to put paint on. Because you put paint on it, you're probably thinking, oh, the paint's flat. Yes, but the paint is also, I don't know, lack of better terms, mushy. So it'll cause the wheel to move back and forth, especially the more paint you put on it, the larger that layer is, the worse it's going to be. So you just tape it off. Alright, as you can see here, I have the wheel spaced up so the lip is not touching the table. I just used a 2x8 and a 2x4. We're going to give it one final wipe down, and then we're going to paint. Okay, here we are. Wheel's ready to paint. Final wipe down's done. Got my gloves on. Now you want to do whatever the recommended painting is. Now it'll give you a distance, it'll give you temperature, it'll give you how to spray it. In my case, it says spray 2 light coats and then a medium wet coat. 10 minutes in between. Paint everything within an hour. Now I'm not quite sure why. I think that might have to do with the bottom layer fully drying and drying up into the other layers. I don't know. The point is you need to follow that. Now, this right here is not prepped. Most of the dust is all wiped off of it so I don't get dust spray. But I'm not even worried about that because we'll get overspray on it and that'll have to be taken off later. I'm not going to tape the face off and then tape the bowl off, and it's just a pain in the butt. So when we're done here, and the whole point behind taping off is because when we're done here and we come to spray from this side, we'll get dry spots. Now what that is basically you never get the wet coat. So it'll be all rough, it won't be glossy, it'll be dingy, dirt, paint dust, or dirt, brake dust, and a bunch of other stuff will end up sticking to it and it'll be a pain in the butt to clean. Now, if you're clear coating, you can kind of get away with that if you plan on wet sanding and buffing it, because with my old wheels, I clear coated all the wheel and then I wet sanded the whole wheel and buffed it. So then it was perfect after that, it was fine, but in this case, we'll have to come back, tape off this inner line right here, and just put a little bit of tape around here and it'll be good. So, let's start painting. Now this first light coat, I like to do it really, really light because it gives the paint, it's like your bonding surface. It gives the first start of bonding to everything. Okay, first light coat is on there. We'll go ahead and wait the 10 minutes and let's come back and put the second light coat on. Second light coat's on there, and as you can see, it's starting to actually really turn green. So 10 more minutes, a good 10 minutes, because you want to make sure there's no chemicals left behind on these 2 light coats. And then we're going to do the nice, I'd say it's a medium wet coat. Alright, now it's been 10 minutes, it's ready to spray the what they call the final medium wet coat. Now it may not be the final, especially on a big surface area like this. If you see a light spot, don't keep spraying it. You're making it too thick. Just come back in another 15 minutes. Remember, the can even says we got an hour to do this. 10-15 minutes and go ahead and spray it again. Now, you'll have to spray a good area. You may have to do some cutting and buffing not to get dry spots, whatever. Or you plan it to where the dry spots are in areas that are hard to see, whatever. The point is you don't want to put it on too thick. especially like up in the lip areas where it's kind of hard to get. Like it's a little thin right here, where I kind of missed a little spot because I sprayed it good back here, but then when I came up here I didn't spray it good, and I had the angles wrong and didn't get this edge. There's a million different reasons why you may have a little thin spots at the end of this medium wet coat. Let's go ahead and knock it out. I'm not sure how much of that spraying I'm going to be able to show you. I'll try to make it up in another reel. The memory card just aired out. Okay, so it's all ready to go. I had that one little light spot over here. I fixed it. Remember, if it's a little light, especially like up in here, you're never going to see it. So don't harp on it too much. It's the bowl that you really want to cover in these areas right here that are going to be really noticeable. It needs to sit like this for at least an hour. You don't want to spray it, then rotate the wheel and go set it on a table to dry. Because you do that, any kind of dust that's left in there, if you're not in a spray booth, like I'm in a garage, I have dust. I do not have any doors open though, to let you know. If you turn it, any kind of dust in the air is going to settle down, and it's going to settle in visible spots, and it's just horrible. So the best thing to do, just leave it sitting like this for an hour. Now I do have another station over there that I can pick up this wheel and set it on, and it's going to be, you know, lip off the ground, blah, 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 blah. It'll be perfect just to sit there for a full 24 hours. And then I'll come back and tape everything off and do the face. After 24 hours of it sitting, you can see it looks pretty nice, especially for the inside. Go ahead and peel this off. The reason you're peeling this off is you don't want the paint building up around the lug holes right there when you go to paint the face of the wheel. As you see, it's hard to tell because this was a scrape test one, but we have all this overspray. Now I'm not worried about it. I would have taped it if I was, because I plan on wet sanding the inner lip because the paint on all the spokes is a little rough. So I plan on wet sanding anyway, so no big deal. All this area right here that's a little rough, just take your Scotch-Brite and just kind of knock any kind of loose paint off, smooth it out, and then we're ready to tape the inside. This is a bit of a fun part, but what you're trying to do is create a roll in the tape, like so. Because if you have the tape flat, you'll get a paint edge build up, and we don't want that because then it'll be noticeable along this edge. You'll have a little lip, basically, of paint. So you just take the masking tape and kind of haphazardly tape around the edge here. And of course it's curved, so it isn't going to be all perfect looking, but it doesn't need to be. Okay, and then you'll just roll the tape back until you see the line where you have perfect paint. Because what this is going to do is having this little curl here, as the paint is hitting this way, it'll actually taper it down to a really fine point, and that line is going to be a lot less noticeable. I'm going to do this to the whole thing. You can see man, you think they could cut these things where they'd stand up. On any seams, you want to make sure you tape back to the front of the wheel. Go ahead and check it all make sure it's 100% smooth. All the overspray's nice and trimmed off. Your lip's perfect. All your front faces are perfect. And then give it one last good wipe down with your cleaner. And you can see I set up the wheel where I can get to about that much of the bottom lip, so I don't even have to rotate it. Shake the living crap out of it. Now these, it's about 72 degrees outside, so I set them in the sun for a couple minutes. Don't leave them out there too long. And it warms up the paint really nice, and you'll get, well, yeah, like I said before, you'll get a really nice, a lot better spray. Now this is a partially empty can. I'll do both light coats with it and then come back with a brand new can to do the full coat because I don't want any spitting and sputtering on that final one. And again, familiar scene, the wheels are done. I didn't show a painting of the face of it for 2 reasons. A, you don't need to see me painting again and again. And 2, camera died. And I don't mean battery or memory card. I mean the whole camera. So, that beside the point, here they are. It's done. Basically, the only thing you missed was me putting the last 2 coats on it. No big deal. And then in roughly, it was about 4 or 5 hours, I came through and peeled all the masking tape and the painter's paper. So that's it. Like, it's really that easy. The wheels are now ready to go down. I have tires mounted on them. I'm gonna try to find a certain Monster can or Venom can or Mountain Dew can or pop can or something, and make my pop can center caps. If you want to see how to do that, I'll put a little one of those little card pop-ups. Try to put the link in the description. It's on my channel. If you're viewing on like an Xbox console or something, it doesn't pop up cards and stuff yet. So you can go to my channel and then find the video. It's like it's another DIY video. It's in the DIY section. But thank you for watching. If you want to check out my other DIYs, hit up my channel, subscribe, hit the little belly thingy so you can be notified. I really don't know how that works. I've never used it anywhere on YouTube. I think it's very intrusive. So you don't have to use that. But like the video, subscribe, comment if you have any questions at all. Any questions. If it works out for you, do me a favor and actually put up a picture on the internet and comment below a link or send me a link through Facebook or send the picture through Facebook. I'd actually like to start to see what kind of wheel finishes and colors you guys come up with. So, thank you very much.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.